Coach Beamer and his staff is outstanding. They've been there a long time. They've got a culture in place. They've recruited to it, and you know, they've just got a really good football team and a good program. It's a hard place to go win. It's a hard place here to come win. You know, it's tough. But it all goes back to, you know, what kind of players you have, and they've had really good players, and they've been a dominant team, very consistent team.
I'm sorry. Their linebackers and DBs seem to have more tackles for loss than you normally see. Is that a byproduct of the 8-man front? Is that them blitzing?
Yeah, they're active. I mean, they'll bring pressures. They like to blitz those guys with some field pressures and boundary pressures. I mean, you'll see them, you know, in the backfield quite a bit. And then a lot of times it's also a byproduct of them guys up front. You know, there's nowhere to go and things get bounced, and then they tackle them for -1 or -2. But they're really good tacklers. Both those guys are, you know, two of the best in the league right now from a tackling standpoint.
What do you, anytime you want to defeat a defense, you have to understand what it is he wants to do. And with this, he seems to like these kind of hybrid players.
Yeah.
The body size and all. What's he want to do? What's his?
Well, he wants to be an 8-man front, and he the 4-2-5, and I think we ran that here at one point. Maybe back when I first came, maybe right before I got here, they were doing a little bit of that here. It's a unique style of play because your corners will go play half field coverage. You know, they're up, but then all of a sudden ball snaps, they're playing half field coverage, and then next time, you know, they're supporting on the run, and there's just it's a little different. So you have to really understand, and so it's a great run stopping defense, and you know, there's some, you got to understand how to attack it from a passing game standpoint, but you got to protect. You know, so you may look out there and see some grass to throw into, but you know, there's a lot of pressure coming at you as well, and so they've just, you know, done a good job of again recruiting guys that can run, body types that can really cover, and also can rush the passer, and can line up and, you know, tackle big guys in space, whether it's a tight end or whoever. And so they don't have to do a lot of subbing. You know, they can pretty much play with their personnel, and that's the big key for them, as opposed to a lot of teams out there where you know, you have to really match personnel a lot based on what the offense is doing, and you don't see that quite as much with Virginia Tech. They put their people out there and they play.
And did you say he does a lot of cover? He said you made some reference to cover too.
Well, they'll play the robber coverage. You know, is where they'll take their corners and play half field, you know,
right.
Kind of like a cover 2, and that's different. You know, you don't usually see that. Most of the time you see a cover 2, it's safeties. But now in this scheme, you know, it'll be the corners going back, and then they got all the underneath players, and then the linebacker up in a robber spot. It's a different scheme, and you just don't see it a lot. So that's the thing, but it's not all they do. You know, then they line up and you think they're in robber coverage, and they're playing middle of field, you know, cover 1. So it's a unique scheme, and you have to understand it to be able to attack it.
So, but you haven't seen them this year against a team that really passes the front.
Sure we have. Oh yeah. Yeah. East Carolina throws it a ton.
Oh, East Carolina.
Marshall throws it. Arkansas State throws it. Yeah, oh yeah. We've seen a bunch of passing game against them.
So do they disguise?
Yeah, they do a good job.
Covering
Yep, they do. They do a good job with trying to make things look the same, and then, you know, they'll change on you, and then they'll bring pressure and they mix it up. It's a good scheme and very well coached. Those guys understand what they're doing. They play with leverage. That's a big part of what they do. And so
He's okay with leaving corners one-on-one?
Oh yeah, they do what they do. It don't matter if they're playing Clemson or the New York Jets. You know, they're going to line up and be Virginia Tech, and that has been the same consistent thing with them. And I don't blame them. They've had a ton of success and they've been very good at it. But you know, they'll play a lot of man coverage, and you know, so they'll take their corners and their safeties and line up and cover you. They're very good at it.
Seems like this week, with that said, that even though film study is always important for your players, but for Taj and the receivers, it'd be particularly important that they really watch Virginia Tech film this week and study them as much as they can, right?
Oh yeah, oh absolutely. That's every week. I mean, every week. I mean, we do a ton of film study. I mean, that's the game within the game. Is knowledge of, you know, what formations you see, what comes off of this personnel grouping, tendencies, and as coaches, we're always playing that cat and mouse game. We're always studying ourselves too, to try to see what they're seeing. And then, you know, okay, well, we've been doing a lot of running off of this personnel set or this motion or whatever. We need to make sure that maybe it's a great time for a play action off of that. You know, so, I mean, you're always playing that game back and forth as a coaching staff versus other coaching staff. And then you get into the game and you really get a feel for, okay, here's where we're going today. And then you go from there. But film study is critical, and knowledge is critical. That's the part of this game that young players just, that's what takes them, most young guys, a little while to develop, is really understanding the importance of the details and just gaining the knowledge. And it keeps, sometimes it keeps a more talented guy off the field because you have a veteran guy who plays better. He's not quite as talented, but he plays better. He's more dependable, he's maybe not even as fast, but he plays faster because of knowledge. Because he really understands your system, he understands how to apply the system, and then more importantly, he understands the opponent and what they're trying to do in that situation. And that is, I mean, that's what it's all about, especially defensively. I mean, formation, recognition, strategic situation, what comes off of it. I mean, that's what defensive football is all about.
Given that Bud Foster does so much post-snap and there's so much disguise, is there more on Tiger's shoulders than normal as far as diagnosing post-snap?
Well, not really.
No.
Not really. I mean, it's no different than every week. I mean, we see disguises all the time. I mean, you know, that's, you know, how you train your quarterback every week on, you know, where to put your eyes. And, you know, this is the key to the decision. You know, this guy or this technique or the leverage of an alignment of a player. I mean, there's always things every week that you know, we coach them on as far as, hey, you know, the passing game, the running game, you know, here's the critical guy that's going to tell us the front or the pressure or the coverage, give us a tip, and then you confirm it, you know, on the snap and play ball.
How much does that winning mentality that you've established over the last 4 games carry over into the next game, this one on the road with a young quarterback? Does the confidence that he's gained the first month really help going forward, that you've kind of reestablished how to win games or close?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that it gives him a ton of confidence. It should be. I mean, he's had some success, and success breeds that. So I like that much better than being 0-4, and that's for sure. Feel a little better about that.
I think one thing that's kind of maybe not been overlooked, but has really stood out to me over the past couple of years, we've talked about dropped passes here, killing drives on 3rd down, and not only are there not many drops, but guys are making actually incredible catches on 3rd down. Can you talk about that?
Well, they're just doing a great job. I mean, we've got good players. I think we've had just a couple drops. Andre had a drop Saturday, and Brandon Ford had a drop. But other than that, we've caught the ball very well in the first 4 games, and that's critical to what we do, you know, in the passing game. But we've got good players, and you know, that's what they're doing. They're doing their job. That's what they're supposed to do. I mean, you know, we want to have guys in here that can catch it, and we've been pretty good. Last year we struggled, but we've kind of transformed in that area from a recruiting standpoint. And you know, those guys have stepped up for us. I mean, Jerron's been outstanding. Newt, you know, did a great job last year, but he's just a more confident, knowledgeable player this year that understands some of the nuances of the position better. And so now he's not thinking about some things, and that's just really led to great consistency. Sammy Watkins is just a great player. Sharon has done fine. You know, Adam Humphries has got great hands. I mean, all those guys, we've tried to recruit guys that can really catch the football. So they're doing a good job of it. And then Taj is putting it on the money. You know, I mean, they've made a couple, you know, some great catches for him, but he's been a very accurate thrower, and our offensive line has you know, done a good job of protecting him.
Where's David Smith at? He's
He'll be ready to go. I think he's going to be able to go this week. We were going to try to hold him last week if we could. I think he could have played. He probably wanted to play, but we really wanted to see if we could, get through the game and just try to get him another week. So I think he'll be ready.
Thomas will start guard.
Well, ask me that on Thursday. We got to get through today and tomorrow, and before we make that decision. We'll see how they practice and compete.
We talked about their defense a lot. Offensively, their quarterback is 6'5", 255 pounds. Do you have anybody that can, last year you used Vic Beasley, I guess, to kind of sim Cam Newton. Do you have anybody like that this week?
Not really. Not really. He is a different kind of guy. And they'll use him a good bit, like we use Taj. I mean, they're going to try to run him. They do some of the same things that we do offensively. They're a lot more shotgun. When you think of Virginia Tech, you think of just I formation, and here they come. But they're a little bit more spread than you would think, and a lot of that's to try to take advantage of their quarterback, 6'6", 250, and he's got a cannon arm, and he's hard to tackle. So he's a very effective runner, and we'll have to do a great job of tackling him. And I would think that they will definitely try to run him against us, and maybe offset some speed and aggressiveness that we have.
I haven't heard you talk about this much lately, but when you had that 12-person recruiting class a couple of years ago, what's going on now isn't a big surprise. You were aware that I was going to leave you a little short, but I'm not asking if you second guess yourself, but just give us your thoughts at the time as to why you wanted to keep it so low.
Yeah.
It would be nice to have a couple extra offensive linemen or linebackers or something like that.
Yeah.
In the program.
Well, we looked at our personnel at the time as far as where we were, and and then bringing the staff together and really kind of establishing our criteria, critical factors for each position, and how we wanted to recruit, and we just made a commitment that, and obviously, it was a crazy season. And so it's not like we had everybody just knocking on the door to come to Clemson. But what we wanted to do was take a year and go build. And we knew that it was going to take a year. Recruiting that's just where it is now. If you're not, we're like right now, we're way on our 2013 group. We're almost done here with this 12 class. We were trying to sign 2009s, and we were way behind on 2010s, just because of change and transition and just being unsettled. And then new staff, coaches, areas. You just did. Recruiting is so much about stability and relationships, knowledge of the young players, and we didn't have that. In several cases, so we were just way behind, and we made a decision, a very conscious decision, that hey, we're gonna push these scholarships forward, and we put a lot of walk-ons on scholarship, but we had to do that because you can't bring guys in mid-year if you're not at 85. So if you have 5 scholarships available in August, well, you have to award them if you're going to bring guys in December. Otherwise, you can't bring them in. So that was the rule, and but we were fine with that, and we felt like we had enough good players, upperclassmen, to really go and compete. That first year, even though we were going to have a freshman quarterback, and that proved to be the case. We had to kind of grow into it a little bit, and we turned out to be pretty good. And had, like I said, won the only championship of any kind here in 20 years. So it was a good start, and then but the main thing is we really got our recruiting established. We laid a foundation that first year. Those guys we signed, those 12 we signed, have really been productive for us. Obviously J.K. Never